Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. Welcome to this session of textual study of the Quran. Before we begin today's lesson, it would be in order to remind you that this textual study is based on Javed Ahmed Ghamidi, our teacher's understanding of the Quran, the way he has understood and translated and annotated it in his book Al Bayan. So basically, he is someone who is the foremost or one of the most distinguished students of Ustaz Amin Hassan Islahi, who himself was a student of Ustaz Hamiduddin Farahi. So, as far as the Farahi school is concerned, they are distinguished in their approach to the Quran, in which they study the text of the Quran directly. And they do not use any indirect sources to understand the Quran. It is the language of the Quran which they use, and this language includes, of course, the appreciation of the structure of the Quran, at the same time the context, and also the fact that the Quran has been revealed in classical Arabic, so a person has to be adept in the styles of classical Arabic. So this is how they have interpreted the Quran and shown that if the Quran is understood in this way, it's a highly literary masterpiece of the Almighty, and if we are able to decipher these styles, we will come very close to the purport of the Book of God. So let's start off by the literal and idiomatic translation of the part that we have already discussed. So this is, to be precise, verses 45 to 64. So the words are, إِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُبَشِّرُكِ بِكَلِمَةٍ مِّنْهُ اسمه مسيح عيسى ابن مريم وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين. Is when قالت said Al Malaika, the angels. So is also translated as remember or remind them. So remind them, Qalat al Malaika, when the angels said. And what did they say? Ya Maryam, O Mary, Inna Allah, Inna indeed Allah, God, Yubashiruki, gives glad tidings to you. Yubashiruki gives glad tidings to you. Bikalimatin minhu, bikalimatin of a kalima, minhu from him, which means from God himself. Ismuhu. So ismuhu would mean his name is. So this is how I would read when I would read this expression disjointedly. But when I would join the two, my reading would be min husmuhul masih. Min husmuhul masih. Otherwise, it will be minhu ismuhul masih. So al masih, of course, is Jesus or is Christ. Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus, son of Mary. The Christ who is the Messiah. In fact, the true translation would be Messiah, who is Jesus, son of Mary. We've already discussed this, that this was a tradition amongst the ancient kings also, and it was also included in the Israelite tradition that when a prophet would come, he would baptize while he would be leaving the next prophet, and this would be done by anointing the forehead with oil. But because of the fact that it seems that Jesus had spoken in his cradle, so therefore his anointment it was considered was done by the Almighty. So that is why he's called Al-Masih, the Messiah, who has been wiped. So Isa ibn Maryam, wajihan fid dunya. So wajihan would be noble, fid dunya wal akhirah. He would be noble in this world and in the hereafter. Wa minal muqarrabin, and minal from al muqarrabin, from the chosen ones or from the near ones or from the favored ones. So the complete translation would be, remind them when angels said, O Mary, indeed God gives you glad tidings of a word from him. Ismuhu al-Masih, his name would be the Messiah, Isa ibn Maryam, or Jesus, son of Mary. And he would be noble both in this world, ad-dunya wal akhirah, and in the hereafter, wa and min al-muqarrabin, and he would be amongst the favored ones. So just a small explanation that why is it that Jesus has been called a kalima from God. So at other instances, he's been called Kalimatullah. So because he was born of a miraculous birth and the Almighty needed only to say be, which means kun, and of course then Jesus was conceived as a result of this order from the Almighty, and Mary, his mother, became pregnant with him. So that is why Jesus is also called Kalima. وَيُكَلِّمُ النَّاسَ فِي الْمَهْدِ, and Yukallimu, kallama yukallimu, kalam. You've heard of this word, so it's like speak. He will speak. Wa yukallimu annas, to the people. He will speak to the people. Fi, in al mahd. Mahd is the cradle where a child is normally kept. Wa, and kahla. So kahl is advanced age or elderly age. Wa, and min, from as-salihin, the righteous, and he shall be from amongst the righteous. So idiomatically, the verse would be, he would speak in the cradle. He will speak to people. Nas. He will speak to people. Fil mahd, in the cradle, and when he will be in advanced age, and he will be from among the righteous. Wa minas salihin, min, from as-salihin, the righteous. Obviously, the small explanation here would be in order that the word yukallimun nas, that he will speak to people, it's not going to be some ordinary speech. Of course, it will be the speech of a prophet, which means that he will call to people, he will call upon people and let them know that he has been designated in the cradle to be God's prophet. Again, this is something of a miraculous nature, so that the Israelites could be jolted and shaken from their slumber. قالت رب أنى يكون لي ولد. So now it's Mary who is going to reply to the angels. So قالت here refers to Mary. Mary said, قالت, Mary said, Rabbi, Lord, أنى, how, يكون لي, happen to me, will happen to me, waladun. Walad means a child. Wa, and lam, not. Yamsasni, touched me. Yamsasni, touched me. Bashar, a human. So literally, it would be, she said, Lord, how happened to me, a child, and not touched me, a human. That is how literally. But of course, if you can make sense of it idiomatically, it would mean that she replied, Oh Lord, how can I have a child when no human being has touched me? Which means, of course, that no man has touched me. No one has come close to me in the sense that there could be any conception. Qala, so this is God's reply. Qala, God said, Kazalikillah. It is in this matter that God does. Yakhluku ma yasha. Yakhluku, he creates. Ma, what? Yasha, he wants. So it would be idiomatically, it would be said that God said, in this way, God creates whatever he wants to. Kazalika Allahu yakhluqu ma yasha. In this way, God creates whatever he wants to. And then an explanation of this creation is made right after. It is Iza qadha amran. Iza, when. Qadha, he decides. Amran, a matter. Fa innama, he only. Fa innama, only. Yaqulu, needs to say. Luhu, to that thing. Kun. Kun means to become, to be. And the answer is fayakun, and it becomes, or it happens. So once again, idiomatically, iza qaza amran, when he decides a matter. Iza, when. Qaza, decides. Amran, a matter. So when he decides a matter, fa innama, only. If innama, therefore only. Fa is therefore, innama is only. So therefore only he says to that thing, kun, fayakun, be, which means get created, be created, and it gets created. So God does not need any substance, he does not need any material, he does not need any resources. And this is something that has been mentioned elsewhere in the Quran by the words Badi'us Samawat, which means that he creates the heavens and the earth without any material. He originates them. He creates them in a way that he does not need any stuff to fashion it and then create something. So he creates out of nothingness. In other words, he creates out of nothingness. Iza qaza amran, because I mean, this is something that it's hard to imagine for us, because we human beings, we are used to creation with some raw material. Things are before us and we rearrange them in order to produce something. But with God, it is entirely different. He does not need any raw material. All that he needs to say is kun, which is be, get created, and that thing gets created. So therefore the Quran says fayakun, and it happens. It becomes what it was intended to become. Wa, and yu'allimuhul kitaba. So now it is Jesus about whom it is said, he will teach يُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ. So now the file or the subject of these words, of course, is something that the Almighty has assigned to Himself, is ascribed to Himself. So وَيُعَلِّمُهُ would mean God will teach Jesus. The who pronoun refers to Jesus. So يُعَلِّمُهُ, God will teach Jesus. And what will He teach him? Al-Kitab wal-Hikmah. He will teach them the book or the law. So we have seen how in the Quran the word kitab is also used for the law, and hikmah is used for wisdom. And these are the two components of religion that we have been given. And the way the sentence is constructed here, the next part is at-Tawrah wal-Injil. So if you look at the words and have a linguistic appreciation, you'll understand that the word al-Kitab is actually referring to Torah, and al-Hikmah is referring to Injil, because the Torah is law and Injil is just wisdom. So in effect, the construction would not be what is commonly conceived, that he will teach them, he will teach him, or God will teach him the book and the wisdom and the Torah and the Injil. So that is not. So God will instruct him in the law and in the wisdom, which means the Torah and the Injil. So a Torah is referring to Al-Kitab and Al-Hikmah is referring to Al-Injil. Wa rasulan ila bani Israel. And you can see that there is a suppression of a verb here, because it cannot be understood unless there is a verb here, and that is something which is suppressed and understood. So he will send him. He will send him. The word send, yabaso or yursalo, is the words to this effect have been suppressed. So wa yursilu rasulan would mean, and he will send him as a messenger. Wa yursilu rasulan, the word yursilu has been suppressed. He will send him as a messenger, ila, towards Bani Israel, towards the Israelites, and which also then specifies his contours and the objective, not only the objective, but the four corners of his teaching. It will be directed specifically to the Israelites. And now that teaching is something that is also explained. Anni kad ji'tukum. Anni, which I, qad, indeed, ji'tukum, have come to you. Ji'tu, come, kum, to you. Indeed, I have come to you bi ayatin, with a sign. I have come to you with a sign. Mir rabbikum, from your Lord, from your Lord. So of course, if this the word has been used without defining it, which means that there is no alif lam, and it could be spoken of as if it's multiplicity. It's magnifying something, which means that I have come to you with a sign. It can also refer to all the signs that were given to him, and it can also refer to the biggest sign, which of course was his miraculous birth. Mir rabbikum, from your Lord. I have come to you with a sign, or have come to you with many signs, as I can see, as I can, interpret that both these can be possible. But to me, it seems that here the word ayah has been left out as a common noun, and it has not been defined by the alif lam to point towards the miraculous birth of Jesus. Ji'tukum bi ayatin min rabbikum, from your Lord. Anni akhluqu lakum min at-tin. Anni, I, that I, akhluqu, I create, lakum, for you, min at-tin, from clay. Tin is clay, min, from, ka hay'at at-tayr, in the form of a bird, a structure or something which is constituted in the form of a bird. I create this clay, I fashion out this clay in the form of a bird, and then what do? فَأَنْفُخُ فِيهِ. Therefore, anfukhu, I breathe into it, I blow into it. Fi, he, in it. فَأَنْفُخُ means I blow. Fi, in, he, it. So the structure that was created in the form of a bird, he says that I blow my breath into it. فَيَكُونُ تَيْرًا بِإِذْنِ. Therefore, yakunu, it becomes. Yakunu, it becomes. Tayran means bird. Be, from, isn't, permission, Allah, God. So I breathe into it, I blow into it, and therefore it becomes a bird with God's permission. Bi-iznillah, with God's permission. Wa, and ubriyu. So ubriyu, and I heal. The akmaha means people who are born blind. I heal the born blind. Ubriyul akmaha, Actually, the construction is something like this: فَأُبْرِئُ الْأَكْمَهَ وَأُبْرِئُ الْأَبْرَصَ. I cure the born blind and I cure the lepers, people who have this ailment of leprosy. وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى, and I bring to life al-mauta, the dead. I bring to life the dead. Be from isn't permission, Allah, God. And I bring to life the dead. I bring to life the dead with God's permission. And he continues, wa and unabbi'ukum. Unabbi'u, I inform. Kum, you. I inform you. Be of ma, what ta'kulun, you eat. Wa and ma, what tadakhirun, you store. Fi, in buyutikum. Your buyut, of course, is the plural of bayt, and buyut would be houses, and buyutikum would mean your houses. So idiomatically, it would be, and I inform you of what you eat, and I inform you what you store in your houses. Tadakhiruna, you store. Fi buyutikum, in your houses. So if you note that basically this verse is giving the or describing some of the miracles of Prophet Jesus. And these miracles, as you can see, we can enumerate them, that he creates a bird and gives life to it, and then he cures people who are born blind, then he cures lepers, and he gives life to the dead. And he informs people what they are eating and what they are stocking or storing in their homes. So these are some of the miracles that were given to Jesus. They have been mentioned in detail in the Bible as well, in the Injil as well, and the Quran is referring to them. Inna fi zalika la ayatan lakum in kuntum mu'minin. Inna, indeed, fi, in, zalika, this, la aya, a great sign, lakum, for you. Lakum, inna fi zalika la ayatan lakum would mean, indeed, in this there is a great sign for you. In, if, kuntum, you, mu'minin, are believers. So in this, of course, referring to the fact that this whole list of miracles which is being given before them, and this was something that they had witnessed. So Jesus is telling them that there is a great sign in this for you if you are going to believe. In kuntum mu'minin, if you would intend to believe. If you have intention to believe, then there is a great sign for you. But if you are after denying, then of course nothing can convince you. وَمُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيَّ. Wa and musaddiqa, confirm. Lima, what? Baina, between. Yadaya, it actually, baina yadaya is one construction, which means before you. So I have come to confirm what is before you. I have come to confirm what is before you from the Torah, which means that I have come to confirm the Torah. وَلِأُحِلَّ لَكُمْ بَعْدَ الَّذِي حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Wa and le, so that. Uhilla, I make lawful. Lakum, for you. Ba'd allazi, something. Allazi, that. Hurrima alaykum. Hurrima has been prohibited. Alaykum, upon you. So Jesus is saying that I have come in confirmation of the Torah. In other words, it's not to abrogate the Torah. I'm not bringing a new Sharia. The Sharia of the Torah is applicable. So I am not going to abrogate it. I am not going to cancel it. So it says I'm going to confirm it, and I'm also going to turn certain things that were prohibited to you as legal, as lawful. Wa and ji'tukum, ji'tu, I come, kum, to you, and I have come to you. Bi ayatim min rabbikum, be, with ayah, a sign. Ayah is sign. Min, from rabbikum, your Lord, and I have come to you. Well, or in fact, the translation would be, I have brought a sign. So ji'tu be is actually one construction. So ji'tu be would be, I have brought a sign. I have brought a sign to you from your Lord. Fattaqu, so fear Allah, God. Fattaqullaha, therefore fear. Phase, therefore ittaqu is fear Allah, God. Wa and ati'un, and obey me. Actually, the words are ati'unani, but in accordance with the linguistic principles, the last words are often dropped in such a construction to also make way for the rhyme of the verse. So, in order to make it rhyme with mu'mineen, the verse finishes at ati'un. Otherwise, it was ati'unani. So, fattakullaha wa ati'un. Therefore, fear God and obey me. So, this is what Jesus is telling them. Inna, indeed, Allah, God, indeed God, Rabbi is my Lord, indeed God is my Lord, wa and Rabbukum, Rabbu is Rabb or Lord, kum is your. So indeed God is my Lord and He is your Lord. So remember, when at the end of noun you find this ya being integrated, it often refers to this person himself. When it says Rabbi, it would mean my Rabb, my Lord. And when it says Rabbukum, it would mean your Lord. So indeed God is my Lord and indeed God is your Lord. Fa'buduhu, fa, therefore, buduhu. So this is how I would read it when I'm not joining it with fa. Otherwise, it would be fa'buduhu. But when I would like to explain this word, then I will always read it just disjointedly. And in that case, it is read as fa buduhu. So orbud means worship. Who? Him, referring to God. Therefore, worship Him, or therefore worship God. Haza, this. Siratun, the way. Mustaqim, the straight. This is the straight way. That regard God to be, God is my Lord and God is your Lord. So therefore you have to worship Him and you cannot worship any other but Him, and this is the straight path. So viewers, before I move on, if you have any questions regarding what we have studied up till now, please raise them. So let me
Dr. Saleem, you may continue with the session. No hands.
فلما أحس عيسى منهم الكفر قال من أنصاري إلى الله. Therefore, لما, when, أحس, felt. أحس means to feel, or because it's a past tense, he felt. Isa, Jesus. Therefore, when felt Jesus. Therefore, when felt Jesus. Minhum, min, from whom, them. Al kufr, denial. So, idiomatically, we would translate it as therefore, when felt Jesus from them disbelief. But if you make it out as a idiomatic translation, then it would be when Jesus felt that these people are going to deny him. They are going to deny him. فَلَمَّا أَحَسَّ عِيسَى مِنْهُمُ الْكُفْرِ قَالَ, he said, man, who? Ansari, my helpers. So remember, Ansar is the plural of Nasir, and whenever a noun is appended at the end by the word ya, so it refers to the speaker. Man Ansari would be my helper, my helpers. So Jesus said, who will be my helpers? Man Ansari, who? Man is who? Ansari is my helpers. Who will be my helpers? Ilah, towards God. Allah is God. So actually it is in the way of God, in the cause of God, towards the cause of God. So who will be my helpers in the cause of God? Qala. So now the Havari, or the disciples of Jesus, they come in the picture and they reply. So qal Hawariyun. So Hawariyun is the plural of Havari. So and of course, the word Havari means disciple. The students of Jesus are called Havari. So the Qal Hawariyun would mean the students of Jesus replied. Nahnu. Nahnu means we. Ansar, helpers. Allah, God. We are God's helpers. We are God's helpers. In other words, if you have made this appeal, then we would say yes to it, and we will be helping you for the cause of, or in the cause of God. And then they say, Amanna, we have professed faith. Billah, in God. Amanna billah, we have professed faith in God. Wa, washhad, actually, this is an imperative verb. Washhad would mean and bear witness. And what is that? Anna Muslimun. Actually, ishhad be is one word and it is an imperative noun, an imperative verb, which means bear witness. Anna Muslimun, that we are submitters, that we are Muslim. So this is what the Hawaris, the disciples of Jesus, said to him, that we will help you in the cause of God, we have believed in God, and we and believe, and you bear witness, which means that they are telling Jesus that please bear witness that we have submitted, or we have been obedient to God. And now they continue, and this continuation is in the form of a prayer. Rabbana, our Lord, Amanna, we have believed. Bima, in, ma, what? Anzalta, you have revealed. So, our Lord, we have believed in what you have revealed. We have believed in what you have revealed. Wa, and ittaba'na. Again, when I will join, I will read as wattaba'na. But when I will read it singularly or solitary, in a solitary way, it would be ittaba'na. Otherwise, in normal joint reading, it would be wattaba'na. Wattaba'na rasula. And we, wattaba'na, ittaba means to follow. Na means us. So we have followed ar-rasul, the messenger. Therefore, uktubna. So again, when I would read this disjointedly, it would be uktubna. But when I would read it jointly, it would be faktubna. Faktubna would mean please write us. Ma, with ashahideen, the witnesses. So it is as if they are saying that, O Lord, we have believed in what you have revealed, and we have followed the messenger. So therefore, write us among the people who bear witness. Write us among people who are bearing evidence. Again, this is the up till now we have seen how these Hawaris, how these disciples of Jesus are talking to him in reply to the appeal that was made by him to them. And now, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Wa, and makaru. So makaru means scheme. In fact, a precise translation would be a hidden scheme, something of which you have no knowledge. It's like a plot. Wa makaru, they schemed. Wa, and makara, schemed Allah, God. And they schemed, and God also schemed. Wa, and Allah, God. Khair, better. Al makirin, those who scheme. So they schemed, and God also schemed, and God is the best of those who scheme. This is how we would translate it. Again, we know that this has been discussed earlier, that Judas, who had actually informed about the whereabouts of Jesus, he was actually crucified in place of Jesus, and they thought they had actually crucified Jesus himself, whereas it was not the case. So this is what is meant by the fact that they schemed. They wanted to, of course, scheme and somehow bring Jesus to his death, but they were not able to do so because God's scheme was stronger. And in reply, in return, instead of Jesus being crucified, it was Judas who was crucified. But the people who tried to crucify him or ended up crucifying him did actually think that they had crucified him, whereas the truth was that it was someone else in his place. Is qala Allahu ya Isa. Is when qala said, Allah, God, ya Isa, O Jesus, inni, indeed I, mutawaffika. Mutawaffi, tawaffa, mutawaffi would mean yatawaffa, tawaffa, yatawaffa, mutawaffi. So I will give death ka to you. So it would be is qalallahu ya Isa. Remember when God said to Jesus, Inni mutawaffika, I will give death to you, wa rafi'uka, and rafi'u lift, ka you, and lift you, ilayya, towards myself. So God said to Jesus that I will give you death, I will give you death, I will make you die, and lift you towards myself. Va, and mutahhiruka, purify you. Mutahhir, to purify. Ka, you. Minal lazina kafaru, from al-lazina, those kafaru who have disbelieved. So I shall purify you from those who have disbelieved. In the Arabic language, when the word mutahiruka is used in this sense, it actually means to separate someone, to isolate someone. So mutahiruka min al-lazina kafaru would mean the purification here is that God will isolate him. He will take him away. He will not let him be mixed up with those people. He will take him away He will purify him, which is the result of that. Min allazina kafaru. So he will purify them from those who have disbelieved. Wa and ja'ilu make. I will make allazina, those who ittaba'uka, who have followed you, fawqa, above, allazina, those kafaru, who have disbelieved in you, ila. So actually the word is disbelieved, but we understand that here the object of this verb has been suppressed, but because it has already been mentioned in the previous part that it is basically Jesus who's been spoken of. So kafaru by Isa is what is meant here, that I will make those people who follow you above, fauka, above, those people who disbelieve in you. In other words, people who will follow you will always remain above. Above would mean that those who have disbelieved will remain subservient to them. Ila, until Yawmil Qiyamah. Yawm is day, Qiyamah is judgment. Until the day of judgment, this is what's going to happen. That those who have disbelieved in you, they will always remain subservient to those who follow you. Summa, then, ilayya, towards me, marji'ukum. Marji'ukum would mean your, marja is return, kum is your. So towards me will be your return. Fa, therefore, ahkumu, I will decide. So I will decide, bainakum, baina is between, kum is you, I will decide between you, fima, that in, kuntum, you, fihi, in which, takhtalifun, would be differing. So what is meant here is that I will summa ilayya marji'ukum, and then your return would be to me, and then I will decide fa ahkumu bainakum, between you, fima kuntum, in that in which you were differing, fima kuntum, in that, kuntum, you, fihi, in which, takhtalifun, you were differing. And I think I did talk about this. It's very important to know that it seems that there are certain things which will only be resolved by the Almighty Himself. And so therefore it is also an object lesson for us, that when we think that our preaching or our persuasion is not making headway, then remember that there are certain things that the Almighty Himself has said that only He will be able to resolve. We will not be able to resolve certain things. So this is also something of a target that we must all have in our minds, that if there are things that we are not being able to maybe put across or persuade people who we would like to persuade, then remember this is something that God has taken upon Himself, that there are certain things which we will never be able to do so. Only God will be able to do so, but that too on the day of judgment. Because the words are ilayya marji'ukum, towards me is your return. And now what will happen is fa, therefore, amma, as for allazina, those. So as for those kafaru, who have committed disbelief, who are disbelievers, fa, therefore, u'azzibuhum, u'azzibu, I will give punishment, hum, to them. So as for those who have disbelieved, I will give punishment to them. And this, what would be this punishment? Azaban shadidan, in the form of a grave punishment. I will give them punishment in the form of a grave punishment. This is a particular style of the Arabic language in which, in order to emphasize and stress certain things, they are repeated in this way. فَأُعَذِّبُهُمْ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا, I will give them a very, very harsh punishment. Fit dunya, in this world, wal akhirah, and in the hereafter. Fit dunya, actually the construction is fit dunya wa fil akhirah, in this world and in the hereafter. وَمَا لَهُم مِّن نَاصِرِينَ, wa, and ma, not, lahum, to them, min, from, nasirin, helpers, and there will be none for them who are helpers. Actually this is how literally you would translate, and not for them from amongst helpers. This is how literally the verse goes, but idiomatically it, of course, it would mean, and there will be no helper from them. Wa, and amma, as for allazina, those, amanu, who believed. So, and as for those who believed, wa, and amilu, and they did. What did they do? As-salihat. Actually the words are a'malu salihat, and as-salihat here means righteous deeds. And as for those people who believed, as for those people who amanu, who had faith, who professed faith, wa amilus salihat, and they did righteous deeds, fa, therefore, yuwaffihim, God will reward them. Yuwaffi, He will compensate them fully. Him, them. Ujurahum. So ujur is the plural of ajr, and ajr means reward. Hum is them. So God will give them full as far as their ajr or as far as their reward is concerned. So wafa yuwaffi actually means to give something in full. I mean, no reduction will be made. So fayuwaffihim ujurahum would mean that God will actually give their ajr, give their reward to them in full. Wa, and Allah, God, la, not, yuhibbu, likes, al-zalimin, the people who are oppressive. So wallahu la yuhibbu al-zalimin, and God does not like the oppressors. Wa, and Allah, God, la, not, yuhibbu, likes, zalimin, the oppressors, and God does not like people who are the oppressors. So if you have any questions at the up till now, we can stop and take up those questions. Otherwise, I can continue.
So, Dr. Saleem, no questions at this time, but I have a question. What
Okay.
are the details of Ansar Allah? Who are they? What entity?
The word Ansar has been used as a noun here to signify the fact that the disciples of Jesus, we know that there were 12 disciples, so they actually, when they were given this call from Jesus that he would like people to support him, to help him for the cause of God, which means that they should associate themselves as companions to him, they should get instructed and educated through him, and then as a team, they should propagate the message of God. So these Hawaris are called Ansar, are also called Ansar because the word Ansar actually means helpers, and the word Hawari has come in the Arabic language from most probably the Hebrew language, and the exact equivalent of the word Hawari in English is disciple. So basically, it were these 12 disciples who said yes to Jesus and said that, well, we will learn from you, and then we'll become a team, and then wherever you depute us or wherever you send us, we will deliver the message of God.
Oh, okay. Another question I had, Dr. Saleem. So, I know that Surah Al Imran and Surah Baqarah are paired surahs. Surah Baqarah seems to be a surah which has much more depth in it. It's very uh, kind of vast. Um, am I correct in thinking that
I
this one
think
seems to be a little
maybe
more
you
focused?
can maybe you will have a different opinion once we are through with this surah, because you see we've just started it. The first
Okay,
20 or so verses were just an introduction. And it was
okay,
after those 20 verses in which the surah actually began. And so we have just about 20 verses into the surah. But once you go and finish the rest of, because the surah is, I believe, around more than 200 verses. So once you are once you finish that surah, you'll see that it is also a very profound surah. And the only difference is that the addressees in Baqarah were the Jews, and here they are the Christians.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Saleem. No more questions at this time, so you can continue with the session.
Inna, indeed, masala, example, Isa, of Isa. Indeed, the example of Isa or Jesus in the law, to God, in the to or with Allah, God. So the example of Jesus with God is what? Ka masali Adama. Ka, similar. Masal, the example. Adam, of Adam. So the example of Jesus before God is the same as the example of Adam. Ka is a word which denotes similarity. Khalaqahu, khalaqa, create, who, him, which means, of course, Adam. So God created him, min, from turab, clay, thumma, then, qala, he said, lahu, to him, kun, be. Therefore, fa, fayakun, fa, therefore, yakun, it was. So the example of Jesus to God is that it is the same as the example of Adam. God created Adam, khalaqahu, min turab, from clay. Then he said to that, summa qala lahu, then he said to him, kun, be, which means get created. Fayakun, and he got created, and he was there. So it's like saying be and it becomes. Al-haqqu min rabbika. Al-haqqu, this is the truth. Once again, the verb is not there, it's missing, but obviously it's suppressed. So it's al-haqqu, or you can also say haza al-haqqu, haza huwa al-haqqu. You can also refer it to be a demonstrative pronoun, which is haza. So haza huwa al-haqq, something to that effect. So it's not essential to take it to be a verb. It can also be a demonstrative pronoun. In fact, it's better to take it as a demonstrative pronoun to be suppressed. So al-haqqu min rabbika, this is the truth. Al-haqq, truth. Min, from. Rabbika, Rabb is Lord, Ka is your. This is the truth from your Lord. Fa, therefore, la, not. Takum, become. Min, from. Al-mumtareen. Mumtareen means who are in doubt. This is the truth from your Lord, and do not be among the doubtful. Do not be among people who are doubtful. So, al-haqqu min rabbika fala takunanna min al-mumtareen. Fa, therefore, man, he, hajjaka, disputes with you or argues with you. Haja is to argue, ka is you. So he who disputes with you, mimbad is one construction which means after. Ma, that. Ja'aka, comes to you or came to you. Ja'a, came, ka, to you. Min, from. Al-ilm, the knowledge. So until here, the idiomatic translation would be, therefore, he who argues with you in it about this thing, who argues with you in this matter, or in this affair, or in this discussion, mimbad, after, ma ja'aka min al-ilm, after the ilm has come to you, after the knowledge has come to you. Fa, therefore, qul, say, or tell that person, ta'alaw, bring. Ta'alaw is bring. Nad'u abna'ana, and ta'alaw, come, or call, and we will, we say, let us call, or let us bring. Nad'u, but let us call. Abna'ana. So abna, of course, refers to children, and na is for the speaker. So let us call our children. Abna'ana wa abna'akum. We will call our children and we will call your children. Abna'ana would mean our children. Abna'akum would be your children. So abna is the, of course, the plural, and ibn is it's singular. So abna would mean we would call our children and you will call your children. Wa, and nisa'ana. Nisa, women. Na, ours. We will call our nisa. We will call our women. Wa, and nisa'akum, and we will call your women. We will call your women and we will call our women. Of course, the words, the way have been used here, the words nisa or woman refers to wives, because the family is under discussion. The children have already been mentioned, and this is a very common feature that the word nisa often connotes the wife. So nisa ana is not just women, it's actually referring to wives. And to our wives, we will call our wives and we will call your wives. Wa, and anfusana, and we will call ourselves. Wa anfusakum, and we will call yourselves. So this is like a big dialogue or debate, as if they are going to come and then they are going to swear on something. Summa nabtahil, and then we will pronounce the curse. For summa nabtahil, sorry, summa nabtahil would mean, and we will then plead. Ibtahala means to plead. We will then plead. Summa nabtahil, we will then plead. For naj'al, that, and we will say what that make la'natullahi alal kazibin. For naj'al, we will make the la'na, we will make the curse, la'natullah, God's curse, ala, on, al kazibin, the liars, and we will supplicate that the curse of God should envelop, should surround every liar. Inna haza lahuwal qasasul haq. Inna, indeed, haza, this, lahuwa, again this is like a stress, this is like an emphasis, and the word has been repeated. Indeed this, indeed, it's like saying indeed this, indeed it. So it's like a repetition here, but of course that is meant to emphasize. Inna haza lahuwal qasasul haq would mean indeed, precisely, this is a true story, a true account. Qasas, of course, is a story or an anecdote. Al-haq would mean a true. So indeed this is the true story. In this is a true anecdote. Wa ma, wa and ma is not. min ilahin, from God, illa, except God. Allah, God. There is no God except God. Ma min ilahin would mean there is no deity. Not min ilahin, from among God. There is no one from among God except God. Or idiomatically, it would mean there is no God but God. There is no deity but God. Wa inna Allah lahuwal azizul hakim. Wa, and inna, indeed, Allah is God. Lahuwa, indeed He. Al Aziz is mighty. Al Hakim is wise. And indeed, it is God who is mighty and it is God who is wise. Fa in tawallaw. Fa, therefore, in is if. Tawallaw. Tawallaw would mean that they turn away. Fa, therefore, inna Allah, inna, indeed, Allah is God. So if they turn away, therefore, indeed, God, alimum. Alimum means He has knowledge. He is aware. Alimum be is actually one word. Al mufsideen, those who spread mischief. So if they turn away, if they turn away, then indeed God knows the people who spread mischief, who are mischievous. Kul, say, Ya Ahl al Kitab, O people of the book, Ya Ahl al Kitab, O people of the book, Ta'alaw. I think this, okay. Ta'alaw would mean come. Ta'alaw is come. Ila, two words. Kalimatin, a word. Sawa'in. Sawa'in means equal or common. Bainana, bainana would mean between us. So basically it's baina is between and na is us. Between us. Wa, and bainakum, between you. So idiomatically it would mean, oh, tell the people of the book, come towards a word which is common between us and between you. Bainana wa bainakum. And what is that? What is that commonality? Allah na'buda, that we shall not na'budu or na'buda, worship, illa, except Allah, God. And what is that commonality? It is Allah na'buda illallah, we shall not worship anyone except God. Allah na'buda illallah. Wa, and la, not. Nushrika, we will not associate partners. Bihi, with him. Shay'an, in any way or in any form. Wa, and la, not. Yattakhiza, we will hold. Ba'duna, some of us. Ba'dan, some others. And we will not make some of us, some others, arbabam. So arbab is the plural of rab. So we will not make anyone amongst us as arbab, as Lord. Mindun means except. Allah is God. So idiomatically it would mean that wala nushriku bihi shay'an, we will not associate anything with him. Wala nushriku bihi shay'an, not a single thing will we associate with him. Wala yattakhiza ba'duna ba'dan arbabam min dunillah, and none of us will make any one Lord as our God, any Lord except God, which means that this is something that we'll make a commitment of. Fa, therefore, in if tawallaw, fa in tawallaw, if they turn away, fa, therefore, kulu, tell them, ishhadu, which means bear witness, or if you read it jointly, for kul ushhadu, bi anna, be that, anna, we, muslimun, that we are Muslims. So idiomatically it would mean, therefore if they turn away, tell them, ishhadu bi anna muslimun, bear witness that we are Muslims, that we are people who submit. So this brings us to an end to the passage that we discussed last time. I'm not going to go any further. That inshallah we'll start the next time. So if you have any questions regarding the passage that we have studied, please raise them. Otherwise, you can also ask non-topic questions.
So, Dr. Saleem, my question is, why God asked for help